Okay, so good morning once again. Good morning, programmers. Welcome to our session today. So again, we have been discussing about for like our discussion about last week. Now we have discussed about the algorithms. So algorithms are step-by-step process leading to a solution now. So in a way that by following some steps or of finite steps, we are able to arrive a solution. Okay, algorithms comes with pseudocode and flowcharting. And pseudocode are just it's just an informal English like statements. In normally it comes with steps. And then for flowcharting, we're going to be using like mathematical or geometrical symbols. And by following symbols, we are able to arrive a solution. As I've said, every problem in even in programming comes with many solutions. So we can actually invoke different solutions to every problem. So to start with, we're going to be continuing discussing the flow charting so that we can now focus and move on into uh, formal or parang formal program development. Okay? So what we have discussed so far last week, what we have discussed so far based on the last week's discussion, it's actually in flowcharting, there are actually four structures. So the first structure was or is a sequence. Okay. Second one is selection. Okay. The third one is iteration, repetition, or loop. And then the fourth one is case structure. Okay, case structure. So these are four structures of C++. So when we talk about sequence, it reads the you as a programmer, everyone is I mean the the solutions that the solutions that we actually do for sequence is like it's going to it's a in a sequence manner. No, we read the solution in a sequence manner. So from probably it has to go through from the start to the end in a straightforward manner. No, start to end. Parang there's no diversion. There's no option for you to skip other step. It has to be you'll have to really go through from the very beginning up to the end or towards the end. So that's for sequence, no? Beginning to end. So in the selection, of course, it's still a flow charting, but this time instead of you start at the beginning and it has an end, but this time there are diversions. Now uh, it could be like skipping one process or skipping one input or something like that. So you don't have to actually go through all the steps inside of that flowchart solution. In the iteration naman, it's going to be repetition. So meaning it repeats a certain process or processes one until a certain condition is met. So meaning to say, it will stop until a condition is met. And for case structures, it's a combination of like selection and iteration, but not totally combination, but it's for an easy having like a manner of kanang option mechanism for our program or for our algorithm or for our flowchart. Okay, so we are done with sequence. Okay, for today, we're going to be focusing on this three. So let's start with the first one, which is selection. Okay, so let's say for an instance, we have like problem scenario na to is would be, okay, so our scenario or problem is, we'll get the average, the average of your grades, average of the grades from prelim, okay, and then we have midterm, and then final. Okay, we'll get the average, and then after getting the average, we will identify if it is passing grade or failing grade. Okay, so if it pass or failed. Okay, to start with, we're gonna be using a begin symbol, which is the ellipse. So start. Okay, so after that one, we are going to have an initialization. Let's say right here. Okay, so let's say we are going to initialize the values for our prelim. So P, let's say P stands for the prelim. Let's say it is 0. Okay, so pwede na midterm and as well as final are all, let's say, 0. Okay, so prelim, midterm, and final are all 0, initialized to 0. And then let's say we have also for sum and average is initialized to also 0. Well, you have an option to not include the sum. You can actually calculate directly the average, but it would be better if you include sum. So later on, I'm gonna showing you how to actually calculate directly this three with average. Now directly na na-average atong calculation. Okay. So now that we have already here an initialization, so let's have the input now. So we're gonna be asking the user to enter or input the value for prelim. So input value for prelim, midterm, and final. Okay. So after that, we are going to get we are taking the process on calculating the average as well as of course, the sum, no? So you have the option either first is have your sum is equal to prelim plus midterm plus final. And then you'll have something like your AVE or that stands for average or short for average. And then you get the sum divided by 3. Okay? Well, you have an option to either use the formula like average is equal to, instead of having sum, just make sure you use parentheses. So you have prelim plus midterm plus final. And then after you get the sum, then you will have to divide it by 3 or by 3. Okay, so in that sense you are able to come up with an average. So make sure you put a parenthesis because it in mathematics it's very important to uh, what they call this one, to follow PMDAS, no? So mathematical ka ng rule, no, in PMDAS, like parentheses, multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction, where parentheses is of higher priority or higher precedence, while multiplication and division are the second uh, precedence, meaning to say that comes after parentheses, then they are of the same precedence, meaning either asa mag-una sa ilaha, you you will need to read first. Parang ang calculation is going to be from left to right. Basta magsunod si uh, multiplication and division. So in terms of addition and subtraction, dapat magsunod sila. I mean, kung magsunod sila left to right. Okay, but if there are parentheses within the expressions, so that's the time now you will apply PMDAS, especially pag mixed expressions na. Okay, kasi if that's the case na wala ka nagbutang parentheses when you do an averaging, so it would actually divide the final by 3 and then before adding them. Kasi kung wala tayo parentheses, unahon niya ang division. Kasi division is of higher precedence than that of addition. So unahon niya ni siya. So that's why you'll have to have parentheses. Para it would make sure na unahon niya ni calculate before dividing them. Pero para mas sure, para mas okay atong solution, that's why I have here like this. Sum is equal to P plus MT plus final before we get the average. Okay? So after that one, you now have, this is the time now you will have decisions. So in the decision, you can have something like, have here a decision symbol, okay? And then you can, so let's say we are going to ask question like, is average or is ave less than or equal to, pwede no, less than or equal to 74. Okay, sorry for that. So if ever it's a yes, no. So by the way, okay, so by the way, the decision symbol has only two states, either yes or no, true or false, 1 or 0, y or n, or t or f. So if you're going to be using yes, therefore, the other side should be no. Okay, two states lang ha, dili na siya pwede dire. So it should be, if diri ka magamit og this direction, so either diri ang yes, then diri ang no, or either diri ang yes or diri ang no, or diri ang yes, diri ang no, it depends. Basta two states lang na siya, either yes or no. So in terms of the values right here, be consistent. When you use yes, dapat imong gamiton ana na equivalent other ano na is no. When you use true, dapat false po siya. Okay? Pwede to represent y, to represent yes, pwede y, to represent no, pwede n. Pwede po in a similar manner for true, you use true, a t instead of true, or f instead of false. Okay? Also, pwede po siya that this one is represented by 1 or this one is 0. But I would recommend to you either yes, y, no, or true, or t, or n, no, false, or f instead of 1 or 0. But again, it's up to you. Okay, so this time you have here yes. So is if the average is less than or equal to 74, then if yes, then display na to dire that, okay, average is or is, or sige na lang, you failed. Okay? So otherwise, if dili, if no, then you pass away. Joke lang, you passed. Okay? So you passed. Now, the next question would be, where do you connect the, so siyempre no, pag flowcharting, pag solution, asa ta dapat mag-end, asa dapat ang end ato. So, since wala na tayong buhaton with regards to our solution, we'll need to make an end statement. So in this case, you can actually write and end something like diri no, butang nato, and then i-connect nimo si you pass and then you failed here, or simply pwede nimo siya like, sige, ano to ang end, pwede directly dira, or simply pwede nimo siya ana. Okay, instead of diri i-direct nimo siya para isa lang ka connections. So, if yes, you fail, diretso dira sa end. If no, then end. Okay, so let's try. Okay, so let's say we have, let's try our solution. No? So let's say we have the value of our prelim is 80, and then the value of our midterm is 80, and then the value para dali of calculation, the value of our final is 80. Of course, when you the sum of this one is pila ang sum ani 240. Ang average ani would be the same, no? So ang average ani is 80. Okay? So is average which is 80 less than or equal to 74. So no, therefore you pass. If yes, okay, since dili yes, dili siya failed. Now, depende sa inyong, again, depende na sa inyong condition, pwede na if average greater than, no? Pwede rin na is average, okay, let's say for an instance, inyong condition is average greater than or equal to 75. So if yes, you dapat diri you pass. If no, here you fail. So again, that's what I've told you about. There are actually a lot of solutions or possible solutions to every problem we have identified. Okay, so that's for decision. Okay, let's try some or other one or other question. Yes, so somebody's asking, I guess. Yes, John Delor. Uh, dire. Now, not necessary sa end kani. Okay, no need siya. It's because you can actually directly connect it. But if ever na you want, you can actually do that. But there's no need for you to actually use on page connector unless something like naka sa taas gani, something right here then, or something like dire. You have another process right here, and then you want to elaborate further na that process, that on-page connector might have another parang decisions. So pwede ka mag on-page connector on that particular matter. So by the way, based on what you've just said, pwede nato ni siya i-expand into that one. So let's say for an instance, expand nato ni siya. Let's say you want to know whether the average is, so let's say for an instance, you want to know ang average nimo whether naa siya or belong siya with, so let's say naman na yung una, di ba naman na yung drop, okay? So let's say drop is, let's say 0 to, or in between 0 and 20, okay? And then let's say syempre ang passing grade is naa sa uh, 74 or 75 to 100. And then ang failing grade is naa sa 74, or sorry, 21 to 74. So sir, unsa nang 0 to 20? Meaning to say ana, probably nag-quiz lang siya kaisa, after that no show na siya, wala na siya ni sulod. Then yung grade probably ana nasa between 0 to 20. Okay? Kasi pag naka-base ano ta, let's say base 20 ta, normally ang averaging ana is every time na input imong quiz. So let's say ang ano ato is basta overall ana is nana siya in between 0 and 20. Basta isa lang input sa imong grade, sa imong, let's say sa quiz lang, wala, the rest wala na kay input. So probably butang na ma-fall na siya into drop. So kasi pwede na siya as like drop instead of failed. Okay? Pero kaning failed man god, it's like naka-quiz ka, naka-exam ka, and then naka mga assignment, naka mga submissions, pero after na kay mga lab activities na na-submit, so probably if it falls here in the failing grade, dili siya mag-fall sa drop kasi daghan na kang submissions. Okay? And also, pwede ninyo ni siya expand ang pass, either let's say 75 to, gusto nimo 75 to 80. This grade is, let's say this is poor. Poor ba? Or sige good na lang, or sige poor na lang na. So 81 to 85, pwede nimo siya iputang as good. Okay? And then 86 to, let's say 90, iputang nato siya as very good, or sa pa ni outstanding. Okay, very good na lang. So very good. And then 91 to 95, pwede nato siya iputang as sama ni siya. Sapay above very good. Let's say sige, excellent. Asay mas higher, excellent, outstanding. Excellent ang highest no. So let's say ano na lang, assume na lang outstanding sa ni. So outstanding, sige siya tindog. All right, so this one is, let's say 90 96 to kung butang ka 99, excellent, tapos kung 100 perfect. Pwede inanakon nimo. So let's say until 100 na lang excellent. Okay? So if that's the case, daghan na ka og scenarios, no? Daghan na ka og decisions. So possibly that's the time na okay. So you will do a series of decisions right here. So when that happens na inani imong gusto, let's say direta sa let's say you failed, okay? Instead of i-display nimo siya as like you failed, so like kana no for an instance na naanuhan lang ka like instead i-connect nimo siya directly dira. Kaya atong buhaton is let's say determine nato either so instead of yeah, diha ka mag on page connector let's say for A, okay? And then direta butang og A and then you do a process here. Okay. So sa may process nato dire another decision. So if yes, okay. So another decision if yes, I'll say average is less than let's say pila ni less than 74 no. If average now is less than or equal to let's say 20, if yes, okay. So let's say ang yes nato would be diri na lang ang yes. So diri ang yes, diri ato ang no. Okay. If yes, ato ang buhaton would be let's say this is the grade is trap. Okay. If no, then pwede na this is your ano now kani diri ka mo connect. Okay. You failed. So any grade less than or equal to 20 is trap. If ang grade is dili siya mobaba sa 20 but in between 74 to 21, then it's going to be labeled as failed. Okay? Do you follow? So yeah, no, that's the time you can use on-page connector. Okay. So for let's say for this one, passing, no, or you pass. So before you say na na pass, yeah, and then I mean yeah, every grade na between 75 to 100 pass, but if you would like na naa siya poor, good, very good, outstanding, you can have on-page connector. Okay? So in that sense, himo na pud kag okay, so since dili naman kakaya diri sa on-page connector, that's the time you will have off-page connector. So in that sense, ang imuhang decisions dira is if ang grade or average is less than or let's say if average is greater than pwede na greater than 75, okay? That's poor. Then next if naka yes or no, if no greater than 81, so meaning in between 75 and 80 poor to siya, in between 81 and 85 is good. So another decisions ni sila ha. So another decisions ni siya or series of decisions na ana po yes or a no. Okay. So inana niyong buhaton which is actually this is one of the activities later on na ihatag nato sa inyong lab activity. Okay? So let's skip that and let's have another example. I-admit sa nato ning uban. Let's have another example here. So let's say our scenario here is problem sila. Okay, we are going to identify either the first number is less than the second and third number, no, less than the second. Okay, so let's shall we start? So we have here start. Okay, and then after that, directly pwede na ta mag-input. So input N1, let's say N1 represents the first number, N2 represents the second number. So after that, you will now then create decisions or decision saying if n1 less than n2. Okay? So if yes, you can display something using hybrid na symbol that n1 is less than n2. Okay? Otherwise, if no, then okay, n1 is greater than n2. Probably nana kasi if not less than, it's greater than. However, based on our solution, what if, no? So, what if ang value ni n1 and n2 are equal? So, okay atong program with that state na if either ang n1 is less than or greater than. Let's say this is the value of n1, this is the value of n2. Let's say you have here 3 and you have 5. So, the value of n1 is 3. 3 is less than n2. Yes. Therefore, n1 is less than n2 or 3 less than n5. Okay? That's correct. Now, next is, ibaliktad nato siya. So, we have here 5. Ang value sa n1 is 5, 1 less than n2. That's actually no. Therefore, n1 is greater than n2. So, tama siya. Okay? Now, what if the same value sila? So, 5 is 5 less than 5. So, of course, dili siya true, dili siya therefore, dili siya yes, ani siya sa no. So, ang ano diha is 5 is greater than and 2 or 5 is greater than 5, which is actually not correct. So, with that being said, atong buhaton na would be another decision, okay? So, we do another decision. Okay, let's erase this one. Dito sa no. Okay, dali man sa nag-no, no? So, okay. So, we'll have another decision here. Okay? So, N1 is greater than N2. If N1 is greater than N2 and you say yes, and then, pwede nimo display diri na sa hybrid, N1 is greater than N2. No. Okay? Okay, if dili less than, dili greater than, probably N1 is equal to N2 or don't make basta sa output ayaw mo magbugtang og mga inani but just is ano lang pero like is equal to n2 and then after that you will then connect all these hybrid symbols and then you go to end. Okay, so that's for sequence. All right, any questions so far? Yes, Buwisan. Buwisan, you raise your hand. You have question? Ang scam lang ka. May question? Wala. Okay, padayon ta. Okay. Now, we're done with decision. Okay? So, ipag i-convert nato ni siya into programming, of course, it's easy for us to follow that kasi nanatay algorithm for that. Yes, sa tong question niya, hybrid, sir, pwede na siya magamit as output. Yes. Okay? Pwede nimo magamit ang hybrid as an output. This hybrid is used for displaying, no? For display. Okay? Pwede po nimo ni gamiton ang kaninga symbol as your output. Okay? Kaning input kasi input output man eh. Pero mas okay na gamiton nimo ang output or for displaying purposes ang hybrid. Okay? Anyway, it's just a symbol. Kasi ma-confuse pagod ka either kani input output, no? Input ni siya niya imo po siyang gamiton diri basin confusing siya because you use another input. So mas okay pag gamiton nimo ang hybrid as your output rather than this parallelogram symbol. Okay, did I answer you ano? Okay. All right, let's continue. This time, let's have iteration. So the third one is iteration or repetition. So iteration or repetition is the process of repeating a statement or statements multiple number of times until a certain condition is met. Let's say for an instance, you 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 want to memorize the sana lupang hinirang, no? Of course, you keep on singing and singing and singing until no ma-memorize nimo siya. So the condition there is the once ma-memorize na nimo siya, walang nimpis, no? Walay sana as is memorize nimo siya singing that lupang hinirang, and then you will stop from doing it. Okay, so that's repetition or that's iteration. Okay, another one is you keep on eating and eating until, okay, depende, duha ka condition. You keep on eating until busog ka or until nahulot imong kanon or sudan or until wala na kay food. Okay, there are two conditions there, no? Or two parang yeah, two conditions, either nahutdan kag food or nabusog na ka. Okay? So this time we're gonna be focusing on like mga let's say number series. Okay? So for iteration, let's say our scenario would be let's just display let's just display numbers, okay, numbers 1 through 10. Now 1 through 10. So meaning, ang i-display na to expected 1, 2, 3, until 10. Okay? So to do that, here's how you do for iteration. It's like decision, but this time it's going to repeat a certain process. Okay, so you have here start, okay, and then make sure you initialize the value for your number or for you the value. Let's say n represent the number, so it will start from 1. Okay, so dili siya will not take input from the user, so it's basically an initialization of number. So we initialize the n or by the number by 1. So meaning ang program na to nakaset na naka-initialize siya 1. So after that, you'll have a decision saying na okay, so kay 1 to 10 man na, we now have here is n1 or n, sorry, less than or equal to 10. So pwede na utag question mark dira. If yes, okay, if yes, here's what you will do. I-display nimo siya, okay? Pwede nimo siya i-display directly using hybrid or i-concatenate ba nimo siya sa string. But of course, as kung sa flowchart, remember that anyone who will look into your flowchart doesn't have any idea on mga concatenation or string, something like that. So they don't have the idea, no? For that matter, so dapat you have to make sure unsa ang symbol na imong gamiton, either katong input ba or output. But this time, I would rather choose hybrid to display the value of n. Okay, so let's say I'm going to say display n or directly mayon na ako display value of n, and then I would say something like ana with space. Okay, let's say I will have parang space in between mag-input ko og in between mag-display ang value sa n. Okay? Then after that, you will have the process right here. So the process is going to increment or increase the number or the n by 1 so that it will, from 1, it becomes 2, 3, 4, so on and so forth until the n is 10. So when that is true, or when that is done, okay, it goes back right here. Okay, pwede ka mag-on page pero no need. So, then balik siya sa loop. Kaya siya loop kasi mabalik siya sa iteration. So, pag mag-stop lang na siya when And this condition is going to be false or no na. So let's say you don't have anything na ibutang siya once mag-end. So butang na lang nato siya directly like an end. Okay, so let's trace now our algorithm. So let's say we start with the n by 1. Okay, and there's condition there saying if 1 is less than or equal to 10. So is 1 less than or equal to 10? That's actually true. So since it's true, ato siya sa yes, then therefore display niya ang value ni n, which is 1. Okay, so now the process is going to be executed, which is n is equal to n plus 1. So from there na, ang value sa n is 1, mag-increment siya by 1, it becomes 2 now. So once 2 na siya, balik siya diri sa atuang loop. So the another decision is going to be read or recognized, so which is saying 2 is less than or equal to 10. So since it's true, therefore, yes, display na po ang value sa n, which is 2. And then increment ang value ni n by 1, it becomes 3. So manani. And then 3 now is compared either if it is less than or equal to 10. That's actually true. Therefore, yes, display the value of n, which is 3. And then n is equal to n plus 1, 3 plus 1, it becomes 4. So after that, 4 is compared to either if it is less than or equal to 10. That's actually true. Therefore, yes, i-print na po ang 4 and then until such time maabot siya og 10. Okay, is 10 less than or equal to 10? That's actually true. So therefore, display ni siya until then 10. Okay? So mag-increment siya by 1 ang 10, mahimo siya ang 11. So this time, mahimong 11 is 11 less than or equal to 10. That's actually false or no. Then therefore, it will stop from there. No? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 ato ang display. So since no, end of the program. Okay? So that's how iteration process. I mean, that's how iteration is done or through in terms of creating an algorithm or flow charting. Okay, let's try another one. Okay, let's try another one. So, wait, okay, na lang sa next page. So let's say we want to get the sum of first natural number. Okay? Using loop, okay? Pwede naman dili using loop pero the sum of first natural number n, okay? So where n is an input. So i-input ang n and then mag-base ato ang loop sa n and then i-kuha na to ang sum of the numbers or first natural numbers from 1 to n. So example, yeah, this is how you do it. Now first is you'll have the start. Okay, and then after that one, you have here the, let's say mag-initialization ka. Okay. So initialization mo is, let's say, the n is equal to 1 and then you have the sum is equal to 0. Okay. And then let's say n is equal to 0 muna. Okay. After that, you are going to ask the user to input a value for n. Okay. So let's say input n. Okay, so this is the n. This is our counter controlled loop. So this is where our loop will base. So meaning it is the number that makes the loop to stop. Okay, so after that, input the value of n. You will start now with the decision. Okay, saying, okay, so is 1 or n less than or equal to the value of n. So, confusing. Anyway, di man na confusing kay gamay man. No? Lowercase ang isa, lowercase atong counter, uppercase ang atuang n. Now, meaning diha kutob ang stop. Okay? So, after that, if it's a yes, pwede diri imong yes, pwede diri imong no, depende sa imo ha. Let's say diri ato ang yes. Okay? So, after that, what you will do with the yes is you will have the process where you get the sum is equal to sum plus the value of n, katong gamay, no? And then after that, sum is then balik ka diri sa, so when it is no, okay, so pwede nimo i-display diri ang display or display naman da ini, so pwede na display the value of like sum. After that, and okay, so let's trace our program. So here, let's say mao ni ang mga inputs nato. N is I mean ang initialization, n is 1, our sum is 0, and then our n is, let's say, 0. Okay, pag abot diri na line, ato ang n is nag-input si user of, let's say, 5. Okay, so the value of our n is 5. Okay, so the value of our 1 is actually 1. N is 1. So is 1 less than or equal to the value of n na capital or uppercase, which is 5. That is actually true. So this is true. And then after that, when it is yes, kay true man, therefore sum is equal to sum plus n. The value of sum now will be added or will be like has sum plus the value of n, which is ang value sa n na to na gamay is 1. So 1, 0 plus 1 is actually 1. Okay, so the current value of our sum now is 1. So will it repeat this one input of n? No, kasi dirita na connection nag-repeat. So ang i-repeat niya is kanang decision. So dirita balik sa decisions. Okay, kulang data. I'm sorry for that. Okay, I just found it now na kulang tag isa ka decision. Okay, pwede ninyo siya idungag. Okay, pwede na dito. Pwede niyo idungag diri sa baba or pwede ra pod na mas okay i-separate ninyo. Anyway, dili decision na process di ay. So n plus or equal to 1 or that is this one is equivalent to n is equal to n plus 1. So sorry ha, kaya pala I missed something. So question, siyempre mangutana mo sir, pareha man na process, pwede ba ang n is equal to n plus 1 dili na lang sa sum is equal to sum plus n? Yes. Pwede nimo na siya dira ibutang. Okay? So instead of having this one, di naman kaigo masin gamay. So ako na lang siyang himuag another process. So the n is equal to n plus 1. So from 1, it will increment by 1, mahimo na siyang 2. Okay? So balik siya dire is n, which is gamay na lowercase na n, less than or equal to dako na n, which is 5. So true. Therefore, okay, ang mahitabo is i-add ang value sa sum, which is 1, plus 2 is now equal to 3. So 3 na ang current value sa sum. So the value of n now will increment by 1 right here. It becomes 3. So this time, balik na po siya din sa loop. Okay, n which is lowercase n, ang value niya is 3. Ang ato ang capital letter N will always be 5. It is compared, when it is compared, it is actually true. So 3 is less than or equal to 5, that's true. Then sum is equal to sum plus n. The value of sum is 3 plus the value of n is 3. So meaning 3 plus 3 is actually 6. Therefore, the value of our sum currently is 6 when n is actually 3. Increment by 1 ang n, it becomes 4. So 4 less than or equal to the value of n, which is 5. That's actually true. Therefore, 6 plus 4 na punta. So 6 plus 4 is equal to 10. So now, the 4 will increment by 1. So it becomes 5. Okay? So current value of our sum is 10. So 5 is less than or equal to 5. That's actually true. So when it is true, i-add na po na siya, sum plus n rather. So sum plus n, which is 5, is equal to 15. So the current value of our sum is now 15. So n is equal to n plus 1, it becomes 6. So 6 is less than or equal to the value of n, which is 5. It's actually false. So now, when it is false, dire na siya mag-false na no. Display dayon nimo ang sum, which is 15. So display sum, then n. Okay? Question. Question? Okay. Now, what if, like question, what if, sir, uh, na ay input in between the loops? Okay? So, mao na to ang buhaton karon. Na input in between the loops. Yes, possible na siya. Let's say, for an instance, then nanta sa next line. Okay? I mean, next page. So, let's say we want to identify the if a number entered is divisible by 5 or not. Okay? So, meaning divisible by 5 or if it is not divisible by 5. And then extraction ta, we only get or display the value of number, the value or the number value na divisible by 5. Okay? So, let's start with the start. Okay? Then after that, let's have a sige, mag-ano tag initialization. Okay? Sa loop, importante ang initialization to where you actually start. So let's say n is equal to, let's say 5 lang ka-input atong ano, n is 1. And then let's say, let's have here a result or let's say rem kasi kwaon na to ang remainder. Rem stands for remainder. Let's say ang remainder is like 0 and then butang puta diri o value. Val is the entered or input number. Okay? So now let's have here a decision. So is n, so kalima lang tano. So fix ato ang i-input, fix ato ang value or atong loop. So n less than or equal to 5. So if yes, okay, if yes siya, ato ang buhaton would be, we will ask the user to input a value. Okay? So input val. So after mag-input siya of val or value sa val as an integer, let's say a value which is an integer, we are now then going to take decision. So in here, you will now have decisions or decision in between. So, okay. Pwede decision, pwede ra pod process sa, okay, sige, anuhan ta mo og duha ka pamaagi. So, kadto sa tang isa nga medyo taas-taas. So, let's say, pay naman tayo rem di ay, so, ano pa sa nato ang i-divide sa nato para makuha nato ang remainder for that value. We'll have to do rem is equal to val divided by 2. Okay, kwaon na to ang remainder aniha. So to get the remainder, you'll have to use modulus operator. Pero sige lang, remainder atong kwaon ani dili ang result sa pag-divide. Okay, division lang atong gigamit pero again, I will just I will tell you atong kwaon is remainder ha, remainder dili ang value. Sige. Now after that, okay, now you have a decision here. So pwede dili na ang decision nato. Okay, is rem, okay, ang remainder equal to 0. So if ang remainder equal to 0, yes. Okay, so ang yes or a no, say wait for a while. Kani no siya. Okay. So if this is the case, dapat either yes or no. Sa no, walay mahitabo. Pero sa yes, you want na, syempre, i-display na to ang value. So i-display na to si display nato ang value, sorry, display nato ang value which is the value of val, so val, no, value ni val atong i-display. Pag no, okay, pag no, okay, so let's say this one, butang taog process wherein atong ibutang dire is, let's say, n, kasi dapat mag-increment ang n plus 1. Okay? So let's say wag kay para ma-fit butang ta diri og n connector. Okay? So n para dili na ta motuyok pa adto dito sa n. Okay? And then okay? So bisan no siya, wala siya buhaton but it has to uh, go right here. Okay? Sa n is equal to n plus 1. But with the yes, naa siya ano na mag-display siya og val. Okay? So instead of i-connect nato ning no going to this one n is equal to n plus 1, dire nato siya ibutang sa magbutang lang tag on page connector. Okay? So para limpyo atong program. Now, the same process will be executed or done if it's yes. So pag no po dire na, so meaning mag-stop na ang loop until ang n na to would now become 5 and then na to n. Okay? So let's try to let's say run our program. I mean i-read na to atong algorithm. So let's say n is 1. Okay, and then we have here the val as a rem sa rem. So ang start sa ato ang value sa atong rem is 0 and then atong val is still 0. So when it is i-read na niya ni dire is n less than or equal to 5, that's actually true. Okay, so the value of 1 when it is compared to 5, if it is less than or equal, that's true. So here, input val. So mag-input ang val. Let's say ang input ni user is, let's say, 7. So 7 ang value ni val. So this time, i-divide na to ang val, which is 7 to 5. So when we divide the value of 5, or 7 by 5 rather, so that is actually 1, tama? Which is, this is the result. Okay, morning result dire, actually 1 point, let's say 1.5, no? Pero this time, no, not 1.5, but this time here, this is the value, pila ba dapat? Basta ang result ana is 1 point something. Then this one is 2, this is the remainder. So mo ni ang i-capture na to sa remainder here, no? So which is val modulus to 2. And then nakay condition is remainder equal to 0. So ang remainder na after you take the remainder sa when you divide 5 by 7 by 5, ang remainder is 2. So ningon siya is remainder equal to 0. It's actually no. Therefore, ani siya dire n plus 1. So wala siya buhaton n plus 1. So therefore, atong n will become 2. So the updated value for our n is 2. So walay nahitabo. Ano siya dire? Our n increments its value by 1. It becomes 2. Balik siya dire. Is 2 less than or equal to 5? Yes. Input the value of input value. Let's say ang i-input niya is let's say 10. Okay? So 10 na ang bagong value ni val. So i-divide na po nato ng 10 by 5. Okay? Kasi mao man nato ang ano dire. So i-divide na to ang 10 by 5. That's actually 2. We have here 2. This is the result. And then ato ang kwaon is ang remainder which is actually 0. So is R, okay? Is R or remainder is equal to 0. That's actually yes. So i-display iyahang diri siya mo anhin na structure, I mean na statement, and then i-display niya ang anong val man niya? I-display niya ang val, sorry. Display niya ang val which is actually 10. Let's say we have a separate value for that. Let's say here, no, mo ni ang value ni val parang extraction which is 10, okay? The next n is equal to n plus 1. Now it becomes the 2 will become 3, okay? True na ito kanina. So 3 less than or equal to 5, that's actually true. So when it is true, input na po tag value sa val. So ang value na val, let's say, ang i-input niya is 18. So ang value ni val is 18. I-divide na po nimo ang 18. Okay, so let's say you have 5 by 18. So 5 times, the 18 divided by 5 is actually 3. Okay, which is 18 minus 15 is actually 3. So this is your remainder. So in your case, remainder is equal to 0. No. Therefore, directly siya dire or diretso siya dire, n is equal to n plus 1. False man. So, mag-increment ang atoang 3 by 4. So now, 4 is less than or equal to 5. That's actually true. Okay? And then, input na po tag value ni Val. Let's say, nag-input sa og 25. Okay? So, pag input ng 25, i-divide na po natin ang 25 by 5. So, of course, that's 5. And then, 25. And then, the remainder is actually 0. So, is remainder equal to 0? Yes. I-print niya ang val, which is 25. And then, n plus 1 is equal to 5. So, 5 is less than or equal to 5. That's actually true. Now, balik siya dire, input the value of val. Let's say, nag-input siya value, 5. Okay? I-divide na po nato ang 5 by 5. So, i-divide na to ang 5 by 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1. So, the remainder is 0. So, this time, i-display niya ang value which is 5. Okay? N is equal to n plus 1. The value of n will become 6. So, 6 less than or equal to 5, that is actually false. So, when it is false, what will happen now? Therefore, ani siya sa no and ang i-display niya so far sa ato ang program is kaning na diri, no? 10, 25, and 5. So, data extraction ang tawag nato ana. Only ang i-display niya are values which are divisible by 5, which are 10, 25, and 5. Now, is there any other solution that ana sir rather than that one? Yes, sa flowcharting pwede po siya directly na instead of in red, instead of this one, um, instead of kani rem something like that, you can actually replace this with something like is val divisible by 5, no? So is val divisible by 5? If yes, there is siya. Okay? So if yes, sa val, okay, ana siya. If no, then same kaniyang buhaton. So which is dito. So pwede na kaning instead of you have the process of dividing it and then parang like this, i-combine na nimo siya as one. But take note, this is mas clear and klaro na solution. It's because how do we know that the value is divisible by 5? Remember, we cannot know na we cannot tell us or we cannot tell our computer na it is divisible by 5 kasi our computer does not recognize or know that. So again, mas okay siya pag naa siya in ani na like process wherein you have to divide first the value and that's the time you will know if it's we will know the remainder and then you compare if the remainder is actually 0. You will know if divisible by. Sorry day class, mali day ko. Na ako'y mali, dapat dili ni 2, dapat this one is 5. Nganong 2? Yan, we've been using 5, no? Okay? So, errata, this is 5. This is not 2 ha, 5 din. Okay, wapod mo nag-ano. Okay. So, val divided by 5 na, dili na 5. We've been using 5 and then ato ang solution dira is 2. So, may na lang na ano na to. So, this one is 5. Again, errata. This is 5. That is not 2. So, you will know na divisible by 5 ang isa ka number if ang remainder niya is always yields to 0. Okay? So, that's for uh, repetition or yeah, that's for repetition. Okay, one more before I'll ask questions from you. I mean, I will, yeah, I'm gonna ask. Okay, another example is another structure is case structure. This one is not so parang it's underrated na case structure. So this one is something like i-shorten niya gamay imong code. This one is used for like for instance na kay mga na kay let's say menu, no? So let's say for an instance na kay say start and then let's say na kay menu so ano no say yung menu is this one is not display dapat display di ay. So we'll have here okay and then we'll have here like display. So instead of initialization na kay butang na A to add, let's say B to subtract, then C to divide or multiply, and then D to divide. Okay, something like that. And then after that one, you'll ask the user to let's say, okay, di lang ta mag-input og integer ha. So let's ask the user to input value. So input, let's say choice, okay? So let's say na-initialize na tong choice dito, assuming na lang na na-choice dira. Okay? Basta na-choice dira. And then nagbutang tag initialization di initialization sorry. So, assuming lang nata initialization and then natay choice na value variable then natay sum naputay n1 n2 for two numbers na input assuming lang so i-assume na lang nato that everything is declared so dili lang tayo mag-focus sa choices A, B, C, and D so input choice after that one pwede nimo ibutang rin choice. Okay? So pag daghan na gani og inputs, pwede na in-ani mong buhaton. So this selection structure would now have something like this. So when choice or when value or choice is equal to A, then choice is equal to B, then when choice is equal to C, so instead of daghan pa kag ibutang na decisions. Okay? When choice is equal to ito, C, then ang isa D. So ana, and then after that, you do whatever you want to do for this one. Okay? And then after that one, kung nakay mga process ba dira or nakay another process, nakay another process or like decision or depende sa imong gusto buhaton, display ba. And then after that, okay, kung napag kay another process na go on, pero kung wala na, all you just need to do is combine them and then put something like an end if wala na kay gusto buhaton. So that's for case structure. All right. Question. Hello? Question. And so nakuha ninyo? Klaro pagka-explain? Klaro pagka-discuss? Just say yes or no. Hello?